So this was unexpected, but also pretty great for the Montreal Canadiens, because today we are revisiting one of these guys that has been so out of nowhere, out of pocket amazing for Team Austria at the World Championships. And he happens to be a young Hab. Let's head over to the Worlds right now and talk about what happened earlier this morning against Team Latvia. In a 6-1 win in this hockey game, the Austrians had themselves a 2-goal performance by one Vinzenz Rohrer. And Rohrer has been garnering quite the amount of attention lately as a Montreal Canadiens prospect. We did already talk about him loosely in a prior video, but this is going to be the deep dive into what it is that he brings, the type of player that he is, and his profile, because this guy is playing out of his mind. Rohrer is a 5'10", 161-pound right-handed center right wing, 20 years old, and he was drafted by the Habs in the 3rd round of the 2022 draft. 75th overall guy, born out of Rankwell, Austria. He's a guy who spent the majority of his development as a young prospect in the Swiss League, suiting up for different versions of the Lions between the GC Kushnok Lions and the ZSC Lions junior clubs. Eventually, he made his way over to North America, getting 48 points in 64 Ottawa 67 games, and subsequently getting drafted by the Montreal Canadiens. He wasn't a super flashy draft pick, he was a 3rd-round guy, but this is a player that definitely put himself on the map, and it's why the Canadiens ended up taking him. Fast forward 3 years later, and Rohrer has a 25-point season in 52 games with the ZSC Lions in the Swiss League. Not amazing, all things considered, but he's only 20, so it's fine to see him suiting up in a pro league, period. But with 6 points in 7 games for Team Austria at the World Championship so far, and 4 points in his last 3 games, this is a name that has been putting himself on the map with points, goals against teams like Canada and Latvia, and now we are seeing just a lot of folks putting up the hype train for Rohrer. Let's go over onto an article published on HabsFanatics.com from 2 days ago, by Elias Adiem. The Canadiens may have found a hidden gem in their system who is now drawing comparisons to Brendan Gallagher. Okay, this is where we are heading down, eh? One of the most underrated prospects in the Canadiens organization is Vinzenz Rohrer, who has put his name on the map while representing Austria at the World Hockey Championships. In the game against Canada from a few days ago, Rohrer's team was a major underdog, and they ended up standing out in a big way. He gave Austria the lead by beautifully beating veteran goalie Marc-Andre Fleury. And that is linked on the actual article itself, the clip of the goal. It's a beautiful goal where Rohrer receives the centering pass on the rush and then does a little dipsy doodle dangle by Marc-Andre Fleury. That's an NHL legend that Rohrer ended up beating to make it 1-0 Austria in the hockey game. Yeah, it's unfortunate that Team Canada scored the next 6 goals, but as a Canadian dude myself, I can't really feel too upset about that. The article says here that after his Swiss League team won a 2nd consecutive championship, many believed that Vinzenz Rohrer would join the Laval Rocket. However, he chose to represent Austria at the World Championships. His contract situation is similar to Kapanen's this season, and it will potentially complicate any stints with Laval. Rohrer has a valid contract through the end of the 25-26 season, not with the Habs, but with the European team. And if he were to sign with the Canadiens, he would have to play in Montreal, because if he were assigned to Laval, he would return to Zurich under the European Assignment Clause. So that makes things a little bit interesting. We don't necessarily know where his next season is going to be held, but he says himself he doesn't really know what's going to happen either. I'll have to think about it over the summer. I'm not trying to dodge the question, I really just don't know where things were going to go. It'll depend on several factors, my level of play, what happens in Montreal or in Laval, but my goal remains one day to make the move to North America. So, at least, Rohrer himself is paying attention to this kind of thing. Let's go out there and read the bottom part here. Many are comparing Rohrer to Canadiens forward Brendan Gallagher. Their similar builds and playing styles are a basis of this comparison. This young Habs forward is known for his intense, gritty style of play. His hockey IQ, smooth skating, and fearlessness in driving to the net make him a standout forward. And standout indeed. Let's head over onto the Montreal Canadiens subreddit because yesterday there was a post made by John Stones 23 who went out there and just glazed the heck out of Rohrer in the best way possible. Let's read this over here. Hey guys, I'm an Ottawa Senators fan from Austria, just coming here to peacefully chat about Vinzenz Rohrer. He's been playing out of his mind at the World Championships for Austria, and he's easily been the second best player on the team alongside our other Austrian NHL star, Marco Kasper. Rohrer has been playing with a lot of grit and effort and is always aggressively looking to score. He had a really good season with the Zurich Lions and helped them win the European Championship. In your guys' opinion, is he worthy of cracking the preseason roster just to let him get some NHL playing time? I hope Reinbacher can make the regular season roster too. Interestingly enough, one of the comments here says that, hey, Rohrer is highly rated, especially for a third-round pick, and I think he could develop into a similar player that is between Lehkonen and Gallagher, but he needs to be more of a pest and develop his offensive upside. Time in the AHL will help that. Unfortunately, he won't be able to play in the American Hockey League the very next season, but there is still some steady development that has been going on here, and even if it takes him 2 or 3 or 4 years or whatever, it's good to see the Canadiens having more life like this, marinating in the ranks of their prospect pool. Adding yet another 2 goals earlier this morning for the Austrians, he has definitely been on the rise, and I think there's a lot more than meets the eye with Rohrer as a third-round pick from 3 years ago. If you check out the goals that he ended up scoring in the game earlier this morning, yeah, okay, one of them was an empty net, but the other one was all Rohrer. He steals the puck in the middle and drives down Main Street, forces a breakaway, and then comes in and does a nice little chip deke by the goalie. This guy has skill in tight. A question asks, does he have NHL potential? And a reply says yes. A couple of years ago, he was one of the most impressive Canadian kids in training camp. Every scrimmage, he was hounding the puck like a rabid dog. Last year, he didn't go as he was in Europe preparing for the season. His season was a success, and now he's showing what he can do at the international level. His issue will be one of choosing his career path. He could come over and fight for ice time in Laval, he could stay in Europe and be a star in the Swiss League, or he could try to force a trade to an NHL team with less depth. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Rohrer ends up as a part of a bigger package to land at 2C. Scouts are watching him right now, and I can guarantee that some of them like what they see. So we'll see if Rohrer has potential to become the next Brendan Gallagher or something to that effect for the Canadiens in the future, or if he is just gonna stand out as a prospect that could get traded. But for now, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Vinzenz Rohrer as a Canadiens prospect. We gotta go out there and make a full-length video about him because he's been that good. I hope you've enjoyed this video. And bye.